Hello, I am so pleased to speak to you today about an issue that you have said you care about a lot. I hope you'll be pleased to know that I care a lot about it too. You've asked why we can't make sure that free trade is also fair by holding countries like China accountable for unfair practices that hurt the American economy. I've often asked this question too, and as a result, I have introduced a bill called the Reciprocal Market Access Act, designed to do exactly that. The Reciprocal Market Access Act, that I'm going to call from now on the Trade Act, would finally require the United States government to address all barriers to trade before lowering tariffs for another country like China. In the past, we have often ignored a category of trade barriers known as non-tariff barriers. As a result, we have allowed foreign countries to impose significant barriers that prevent U.S. goods from being successfully sold overseas. At the same time, we remove all our barriers and let foreign goods be sold here at home. And examples of these non-tariff barriers include such things as China's rigged currency, China's requirement that American companies give away their technology secrets to a Chinese company before we're allowed to sell an American product in their country. These types of non-tariff barriers are a major reason why American manufacturers struggle to keep up with the Chinese competition and often move there. Just recently, we saw how these barriers impact our country. GM wanted to sell the Chevy Volt in China because their pollution problems are so great that China has called for electric cars. China would not allow the car to be sold at their subsidized price of $19,000 till GM partnered with a Chinese company and shared their car design and technology. The Chinese used a non-tariff barrier to require GM to give away their intellectual property before they could sell the Volt overseas. GM initially refused to do that, but now the New York Times reports that GM has given in to the Chinese demands and will be sharing their design secrets so that they can access that market. Now, under my bill, these unfair trade practices by the Chinese could be stopped in their tracks by leveraging other nations' interest in accessing the American market. Under my bill, the U.S. government would be required to address these types of barriers before entering a trade agreement or reducing our tariffs, giving away our leverage to any foreign country. In addition, if a country like China tried to implement an unfair barrier after the fact, the U.S. government would be impaired to immediately suspend our free trade agreement or newly lowered tariff until the unfair barrier was resolved. To make sure this enforcement mechanism is actually used, the U.S. manufacturers and Congress, not just the federal government, would be allowed to initiate immediate action and make sure the issue is resolved. It's time we did this for our manufacturers. And I believe that this type of no-nonsense approach will finally give our country fair, free trade, allowing our manufacturing sector to compete and win. I'm happy to report that businesses, all unions, and members of Congress agree with me. My bill has received support from companies and business groups such as Corning Incorporated, Globe Specialty Metals, American Manufacturing Trade Action Coalition, and the entire AFL-CIO. I said some of the building trades, and also the UAW is supporting our bill, even though in the Korean trade agreement, UAW does get to sell some cars in South Korea. And I'm going to tell you that Korea particularly haunts me. We have 36,000 troops on the DMZ who've been there forever just looking north. We could do that electronically and bring them home at a great savings to us. But we keep them there in Korea, and we're obliged by treaty to protect them from anything. The very least that they can do as a G20 country is to open their country to American trade. And my bill is receiving bipartisan support in this Congress, and so far close to 50 members have co-sponsored this legislation. I'm pushing hard to gain more support each day, and more corporations are talking with us about it. I believe this bill will ensure that from this day forward, our trade isn't just free, but it's fair. With this bill, we can finally make sure that free trade doesn't just help foreign countries, but finally benefits the American worker and the American businesses who can outbuild, outcreate, and outcompete anyone in the world if they just get the opportunity. So thank you again for letting me speak with you today. And thank you for supporting a fair free trade policy. It is about time.